What is up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video. We're on the final video when it comes to all these leaks from the Duel Links meta website. I wanted to make a video on the Selection Box Volume 2 for a long time now, but a combination with finals and that the Epic Yu-Gi event is literally dropping in a few hours, I am getting around to doing this video right now. But I appreciate all of you guys watching this video, and I appreciate everybody waiting for me to do this video instead of watching someone else's video on this same subject. So bless up to all of you homies. And also for everybody that wants to know, I actually did pretty good on my finals. I did a little bit better than I expected. I'll talk about that more in one of my future live streams, since it's been a hot minute since I did a live stream. But yeah, let's get going on today's video, of course. So if you guys are excited for today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links data mine video, be sure to go hit that like button down below. There you go. But of course, you can wait to like the video until you watch the full thing. Another thing too, if you want to check the description or comment section, I'll put some timestamps on what cards I'm going to be talking about. I'll first talk about the brand new cards, and then I'll talk about my opinions on the reprints and everything like that. So check the description or comment section down below if you want to skip to any of those. But without further ado, let's just go talk about all of these epic cards and everything like that. Overall, I think the Selection Box Volume 2 is pretty cool. From the things that I checked out about it, I think it's an alright box. I don't think it's crazy good, but there's a couple cards to definitely keep interested in. So let's just start from the top left on what cards that are going to be into the game that are going to be brand new, and then of course we'll talk about the reprints later. Also, so far these are kind of all the reprints that we have so far. This is not the full box. The previous selection boxes had way more cards than this, but I'm gonna guess that with the Duel Links meta website, they're just kind of choosing like the good cards to showcase for the selection box, so keep that in mind. But let's start talking about it. So first of all, technically Angel Azera is already in Duel Links. We were actually able to face against this card in the DD Tower that we had, I think, like a month ago or something like that, but we're finally going to be able to use that card in Duel Links from the selection box. This is a light 8-star fairy synchro. It takes one tuner plus one or more non-tuner monsters. We have a new generic level 8 synchro monster. That's amazing. This card gets under attack during each of your opponents for each of your opponent's banished cards during the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished. Special summon the banished card. You only can use the effect of Angel Zero once per turn. So that's actually kind of cool. 2800 attacking monster, which is really good for an 8-star synchro monster. There's not a lot of 8-star synchro monsters with that much attack, and it has a pretty decent effect. If you combo with the deck that banishes a lot, you can just bring that guy right back, which is really cool. I kind of like that. Overall, nothing too crazy about this card, but it's a pretty cool card nonetheless. Next up, we're going to talk about this SR card. This is Eccentric Boy. This is a win 3-star spellcaster tuner. When using this card as a synchro material monster, the other synchro material monster is one in your hand. That's pretty cool. The synchro monster that is used this card as a synchro material monster cannot activate its effects. Its effects is negated and is removed from play when it's removed from the field. So there's a couple good things about this card. The first thing is that you can summon a synchro monster with it. The monster can still attack, which is nice. So you can basically use this to get a huge beat stick monster straight off the bat right away. So I think that's a decent combo that you could possibly go for. You can basically either go for like a 7-star synchro summon that's pretty quick. You can either go for like an 8-star synchro summon if you have a 5-star monster in your hand. You can do a quick synchro summon for a big beefy monster, which isn't the best thing in the world, but it's still an option right there. And the only thing that sucks, of course, is that the fact that if you do synchro summon this way, your card won't have any effects. Effects is negated and removed from play when it's removed from the field. But hopefully with the build that you're going to be playing, though, hopefully you have some cards that can bring back that synchro monster from the graveyard easily to make a good use out of Eccentric Boy. But overall, this card is kind of both cool and not cool at the same time. I think some people can figure out some super sick combos though with Eccentric Boy. I think I would like to get a couple copies of this card too and tinker around with that. So that's that. That's right there. Pretty cool though. Next up, this is a new card. Now this is a card that Gravekeeper people have been asking for forever, and it is Necrovalley. This is a spell field card. All Gravekeeper's monsters gain 500 attack and defense. That's really good. Cards in the graveyard cannot be banished. That's going to hurt a lot of decks. Negate any card effect that would move a card from the graveyard to a different place. Negate any card effect that changes the types or attributes in the graveyard. So overall, this card is really solid. First of all, it just shuts down spellbooks like crazy. You can use this against spellbooks and they just can't banish any of your cards, which is pretty good. I think this will stop what grows in the graveyard decks because they can't, like Junk Synchron's effect would get negated because Necrovalley, so that's going to be an annoying thing to do. There's also a lot of other decks. I mean, for some reason, Red Eye Zombie Dragon popped in my head. That would be something that would get stopped with Necrovalley. And overall, this card's really good. The only issue is, though, that it is from the selection box, and with the selection box and all that jazz right there, you need to like spend a lot of money to get a lot of copies of these cards. And that's like the one thing that sucks about the selection box. I think the selection box is a really cool selection of cards and reprints. The only issue is, though, is that a lot of the pay-to-play players and the free-to-play players can't really get all the brand new cards from this box. And I think there's a lot of new cards in this selection box compared to the previous ones. I could be wrong, though. It's been a long time since I've seen inside of the selection box, so there's that right there. But overall, Necrovalley is going to change the game whenever it gets added to the main box in the future. sure is going to be crazy. Gravekeeper players are probably super happy about this, but just in general, you can use Necrovalley in pretty much any deck if you really wanted to, because just stopping graveyard synergy is a really powerful thing to do when it comes into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Keep in mind, though, that I believe this card effect works on both players' fields, though, so just keep that in mind. It also affects you. It doesn't only affect your opponent, so build your deck around it where you don't need to use the graveyard too much. Next up, we're going to be talking about Wise Man's Chalice. This is a card that we also don't have in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. If you control no monsters, select one monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it. During the end phase of the turn, give control of that special summon monster to your opponent. That monster cannot be tributed or use a secret material monster while it's face up on the field. This card is good and bad. One cool thing about this card, though, at least, is that you can use, I believe you can use that monster that you took from your opponent's graveyard for a fusion summon, which would be really nice. So that's one option that you can do, but sadly can't tribute it or use it for a synchro summon, which does suck. On the bright side, though, hopefully you can take one of your opponent's monsters and use it to basically OTK, because I mean, it's still a special summon. You can still use the monster's effect, you can still use the monster to attack. Overall, it's not that bad of a card. The only issue is, though, is that if you don't kill your opponent by the time you activate Wise Man Chalice, your opponent just demolishes you, and that's not epic. So I don't know. Still, that's actually kind of a cool card. I think this card could definitely see some competitive use in the future, and I wouldn't mind pulling this card from the selection box. It's not on my radar, but it'd be cool to get and everything like that. So that's cool right here. Next up, this is a card that I'm going to love to hopefully get from the new selection box, and this is Masked Hero Dion. This is an Earth 8-star warrior fusion. Must be special summoned with mass change. It cannot be special summoned by other ways. When this card destroys the opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can add special summon a level 4 or lower hero monster from your deck. This card is crazy good. So this is a 2800 attacking monster with 3000 defense. So if your opponent like econs you or just switches your monster to defense position, it has 3000 defense, which is really good. You can special summon this in defense if you want to too, and that Anki can't get over it, which is also awesome right there. And it is an Earth attribute, so that means all your hero monsters that are Earth attribute can be used to mass change into this card, which is really cool. And there's another card that can combo really well with Masked Hero Dion, and sorry about that. But basically, you can, with Masked Hero Dion, you scroll down here, and you can combo with Elemental Hero Solid Soldier. Now, I believe that Elemental Hero Solid Soldier is actually going to be in the selection box and not in the Swordbound Silence structure deck. Basically, with Yazin and everybody that, you know, made this article right here, falling cards are data mined to be attainable either in the selection box V2 or the new Swordbound Silence structure deck or some other outlet. We are unsure. And so they're not sure if Solid Soldier will be in the selection box, but personally for me, Solid Soldier would make a lot of sense if it was in the selection box. And if it is, you can combo Solid Soldier with Masked Hero Dion. If you don't know what Solid Soldier does, this is a 4-star Earth Warrior effect. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon one level 4 or lower hero monster from your hand. If this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard by a spell effect, aka mass change, you can target a hero monster in your graveyard except Solid Soldier, special summon it in defense position. You only can use the effect of Solid Soldier once per turn. This card combos so well. It's an Earth attribute, and you can combo it with Masked Hero Dion. Like, Masked Hero Dion is honestly going to be so sick to use, and hopefully you can pull at least one copy of that from the selection box. It's probably the #1 card that I want to get, and everything like that. But still, super cool card. I'm really glad that they're finally adding some more Masked Hero cards into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, because even though I never had all the cards to play Masked Heroes, I've always liked the idea of the archetype. I thought it was always a cool deck. Sure, it pisses me off sometimes when I go against it in the ladder, but if I had all the cards for the deck, I probably would have played it a lot, but, you know, I just don't. Oh well. Next up, we're going to be talking about Nightbeam. This is another card that is new to the selection box. It's a spell normal card. Target one set spell and trap card your opponent controls. Destroy that target. Your opponent cannot activate the targeted card in response to this card activation. This is actually a pretty decent card. So it's back row removal, which is nice. You don't lose any of your life points when you use this card, and your opponent can't activate any spell and trap cards, or you just can't respond to the targeted card in response to this card's effects. So you instantly get rid of one of your opponent's monster, back row cards right there. This is in most cases better than Cosmic Cyclone and Galaxy Cyclone, because your opponent can chain those cards that they do target. So the fact that Nightbeam just absolutely negates it's really good. This card is definitely worthy of being a UR card, and I hopefully can pull a couple copies of this card too. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I like a lot of the cards from this volume 2 selection box, so that's really cool right here. Next up, we're gonna skip like all of these cards right here for now, because, you know, these are all reprints. And there's that. I do think Scrap Archfiend's a new card though, and also just keep in mind Spore is actually a skill card, so you actually can use Spore, so I won't talk about that right away. But yeah, Scrap Archfiend is the next card that I believe is new in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. I mean, the only way you can obtain this Yeah, so the only way you can obtain Scrap Archfiend is through the selection box right here. So Scrap Archfiend, it takes a tuner plus one or more non-tuner monsters. It's a Fiend Synchro card. 7-star, 2700 attack, 1800 defense. Nothing too crazy at all. It's an easy 7-star monster to summon into, but it's literally just a beat stick. There's not really any benefit out of it. I would probably pass on this card, to be honest, but I mean, it'll be cool to add to the Synchro collection, I guess. Next up, another Synchro that's actually brand new is this HTS, Psychomuth or something like that. I don't really know, but it is an Earth 6-star Psychic Synchro. Takes a tuner plus one or more non-tuner monsters. After damage calculation, when this card battles an opponent's monster, you can banish this monster, but also banish this card. This card has 2400 attack and 1800 defense. Overall, this card's actually pretty sick. I think I actually like this card a lot because the fact that if you have a big monster that your opponent that you have to go against, you can just banish it right away. Also, what's really cool about this too is that when your opponent is trying to attack into you, they have to play around this card, because literally you can just summon this card straight off the bat. If your opponent doesn't have any cards to get rid of it right away, they're gonna have to sacrifice one of their monsters in order for you to basically banish it and everything like that. This card's actually gonna be pretty sick, and I think comboing it with cards like Psychic monsters and everything like that, this card's gonna be very powerful in the game, because you get to just choose if you want to banish this card or not along with your opponent's monsters. So this card's actually pretty sick. Hopefully we see this in a box soon besides the selection box, because you know, selection box is only gonna be around for a limited time and you mostly can only go into it with monies, which kind of does suck. Next up though, we're going to talk about this Dragon Rebirth. This card's cool, but there's a couple downsides to it, but overall it's pretty cool. I read this card. Basically it's a 5-star Dragon Synchro. It takes a tuner plus one or more non-tuner monsters. Gotta love the generic Synchro. And I forgot to mention too, this card's also a generic Synchro, HTS. Love that. But also this Dragon Rebirth is a generic summon Synchro. If this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if this card you control is sent to the graveyard by opponent's card effect, you can target one monster in your player's graveyard except Dragon Rebirth. Special summon it, and you only can use the effect of Dragon Rebirth once per turn. This card sadly only has 100 attack, but it has a good amount of defense at 2600. So what's pretty cool is that if this card gets destroyed, you can target a monster in your player's graveyard and special summon it. I think that's actually pretty cool. One really cool thing about this is that if you get this card, Dragon Rebirth, you can actually combo it with Junk Synchron and What Grows in the Graveyard, which is honestly crazy. If I pull one copy of this, I'm probably going to throw it in my deck, because you can basically use this to bring back some of your heavy-hitting monsters from either's player graveyard. So if you're keeping track of both of your guys' graveyards and your opponent has a really powerful monster in their graveyard, summon Dragon Rebirth, throw that bad boy in defense position. Whenever your opponent kills it, you can just yeet their monster. Or if you're going to be really gutsy, you can go for that 100 attack and basically suicide with Dragon Rebirth, but then special summon one of your monsters. I think this card's definitely going to be a really good card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. It is an SR2, so if this card is broken, I could see it being hit in the ban list, but for now, I don't think it's crazy overpowered currently, but you can easily summon it with Junk Synchron and What Grows in the Graveyard. So that is honestly really cool, and I like that right there. And that's kind of it for all the cards so far. I mean, I already talked about all these other cards and everything like that, and these are so far the confirmed cards for the selection box. There's going to be a lot more cards in the selection box, but these are all the cards that are in here and everything like that. Let's go over quickly over all the reprints right here. One of the reprints we got is Salvage. This card is all right. Target 2 monsters, 1500 less attack in your graveyard. Add those 2 targets to your hand. That's all right. You know, that card's been in the game for a little while now. Hasn't seen that much use, but it's cool that's reprinted. Tricky is also an all right reprint. I mean, this one's kind of meant for me because it is from a mini box, but this is a reprint that you can get special summon this card from your hand by discarding card. The combos can kind of combo with Fables and Dark World a little bit, so not that bad. Tricky's pretty cool. This card's actually a pretty good reprint though. Ties of Brethren, it's from a main box and it was used in Gear Gears, and this could easily be used in future card or decks in the game. Ties of Brethren, I think is an all right reprint, but so far, the reprints in this box are not really that good. I just kind of like the new cards, in my opinion. You know, Different Dimension, Reincarnation, discard a card, then target one of your banished monsters, special summon in attack position, equip it with this card. Then when this card leaves the field, destroy the equipped monster. So that card's actually alright, too. You could probably combo it with, you know, the Angel Zera and the HTS with the whole banish shenanigans, so that's all right. Battery Man, this is actually an all right reprint for the Battery Man archetype. If you're gonna ever consider playing Battery Man, so you're gonna want to try to run 2 to 3 copies of this card. This card's pretty good though, because this card cannot be special summoned except by removing 2 Battery Men from your graveyard. Once per turn, you can remove from play a Thunder type monster in your graveyard, destroy 1 monster, and spell and trap card in the field. That's a pretty good card right there. Pretty good reprint. Here's an all right reprint, Elemental Hero Gaia. This actually is gonna help out some players that recently got some copies of Miracle Fusion. You can summon Gaia pretty easily with Miracle Fusion, which is nice. Same thing goes goes with Elemental Hero Nova Master. Personally, for me, I would be pretty happy if I pulled this from the selection box because I don't have a copy of Nova Master, and if I ever get 2 or 3 more copies of Miracle Fusion, I'd love to use Nova Master. So Nova Master is a pretty solid reprint too, in my opinion. Good for Miracle Fusion, everything like that. Any Noble Knight players that still need to get 2 or 3 copies of this card, this is a good reprint right there. Overall, though, Noble Knights haven't been that good recently, so I kind of passed on that one, but it's still there and exists. Midfielder is a pretty good reprint, even though UAs are not as good as they used to be. If you're ever going to consider playing UAs, you really need 3 copies of Midfielder. Midfielder is going to help with the deck a lot. So there's that right there. Probably one of the best reprint stuff for this box is definitely Master Hero Anki. I think for a lot of players that have never invested into masked heroes, this selection box is going to be pretty solid. Personally, for me, I'm going to probably aim for getting another copy of Anki because I currently only have 1 copy of Anki. If I get a second copy of Anki, I'd be pretty happy. So that's actually probably one of the better reprints from this box. And another really good reprint for this box is Drowning Mirror Force. When your opponent's monster declares a direct attack, shuffle all your opponent's attack position monster to the deck. Another really good reprint right there. I like Anki and Drowning Mirror Force are probably some of the best reprints from this box. That is for sure. All the other ones are kind of meh in my opinion. Next up, we have Metamorphosized Insect Queen. Honestly, whatever I faced against this deck always messed me up. This card's actually pretty decent. You cannot normal summon or sex, must be special summoned by a card effect. If another insect monster is on the field, your opponent cannot target insect monsters you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. At the end of the damage step of this card attack, you can tribute a monster. This card can attack an opponent's monster again in a row. Once per turn during the end phase, you can special summon an insect monster token. So that's pretty good. 2800 attack for 2400 defense. Decent card. Insects haven't really seen that much play recently, though, so I'm kind of mediocre on this reprint. But every time I went against this deck smacked me around silly. That's an alright reprint. Spores are pretty good at reprint. This is technically a new card, though. I just didn't talk about it right away because it's technically already in the game through a skill. But it's actually pretty cool that we finally get this card as an actual card because it's a win 1-star plant tuner. If this card's in your graveyard, banish another plant-type monster from your graveyard. Special summon this card from your graveyard. Decreases level by the level of that banished monster. Each player can only activate the effective Spore once per duel. This is a really good card. Sadly, though, if your opponent activates Spore before you, you are going to get memed on, but still, really good card right there. And then last but not least, Mass Change, also really good reprint right here. Target a hero monster you control, send it to the graveyard. Also after that, if they left the field by this effect, special summon a mass hero monster from your extra deck with the same attribute the set monster had. It was on the field with its original attribute face down. So yeah, overall, I'm actually like kind of looking forward to the selection box. I think the reprints could have been better, but I think the brand new cards that you can get from the selection box is actually really cool. Mass Hero Dion is going to be a card that you're going to definitely want to pull for. Night Beam is going to be a card you're going to want to pull for. I think Dragon or Rebirth could definitely have some really cool combos, and this HTS card's pretty good too. So I think the like new cards from this box are actually pretty solid, and it's a good indicator what new cards we're going to be getting in the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. So I'm looking forward to that, and also NECROVALLY too. Like I forgot about NECROVALLY, but this card's epic. Like this card's going to change the game. So I think the new cards from the selection box are really good. Reprints though could have been better in my opinion, but hopefully I can pull some copies of Anki and Drowning Mirror Force. That'd be pretty sick. So there's that right there. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed today's box review on the selection box volume 2, and you haven't liked the video already, please be sure to leave the like on the video if you enjoyed. Also, if you guys want to, you can subscribe to the channel. In a couple hours after I upload this video, I'll be trying to get you guys a farm deck for Epic Yu-Gi. That's going to be coming out very soon, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, I think that's going to be it. Of course, as I say in all my other videos, if you guys want to, you can join my Discord. Link in the description down below. And last but not least, if you want to support me as a content creator, you can check out my YouTube member page and everything like that. Link in the description down below. You can support the channel with $5 a month. Help me out and all that good stuff if you enjoy my YouTube content. But of course, you don't have to. Watching the video is good enough, but it's just an extra way to go the extra mile for me as a content creator. So yeah, that's gonna do it for me, guys, though. Thank you so much for watching today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.